The French citizens who tore down a monarchy to win their liberty cheered an emperor just a decade later. By 1794, the pursuit of liberty had turned lethal. Maximilien Robespierre and the Committee of Public Safety believed foreign and domestic enemies surrounded the young republic. To maintain control, they weaponized paranoia, arresting and executing thousands of citizens accused of disloyalty during the Reign of Terror. The system required constant purges to function, which meant no one was safe. The politicians running the tribunals realized they could easily become the next ones facing the blade. Desperate to survive, factions within the government turned on their own architect. On July 27th, a date known in the revolutionary calendar as 9 Thermidor, they arrested Robespierre. The very next day, he was executed. His death stopped the state-sponsored executions, but it left France fractured. The country was financially exhausted and deeply traumatized by years of constant violence. The populace no longer cared about ideological purity. They simply wanted stability. This image shows the 5 executive members of the new government, adopted in 1795, known as the Directory. To prevent another dictator from taking power, the new constitution made this system intentionally weak and decentralized. Without strong central authority, the economy collapsed. Inflation soared, and basic necessities like food became entirely unaffordable for the working class. The politicians, draped in their aristocratic uniforms, remained paralyzed by political gridlock, while citizens starved in the streets. When the starving public rioted, the Directory had a single coping mechanism. They deployed the military to violently crush the civilian protests. By repeatedly relying on generals to solve domestic political disputes, the Directory rendered itself irrelevant. They inadvertently handed ultimate state power directly to the army. Pacing quickened slightly. One young general seized the opportunity. Napoleon Bonaparte, born in Corsica, rose through the ranks entirely on his own merit. He repeatedly led smaller French forces to massive victories across Italy. While officials in Paris argued and accomplished nothing, Napoleon delivered tangible, brutal efficiency on the battlefield. He provided the exact type of competence the Republic lacked. This is a schematic of the 1799 coup. You can see military units physically surrounding the legislative assemblies, forcing the collapse of the government and centralizing authority into a single point, Napoleon. Now holding the title of First Consul, Napoleon rapidly dismantled the remaining political opposition. He pulled administrative control under his direct command and ruthlessly censored the press. After a decade of economic ruin and the constant threat of the guillotine, the French public offered little resistance to this new regime. The desire for a functioning state had finally outweighed the defense of democratic institutions. By 1804, Napoleon formally crowned himself Emperor of the French. On the surface, the nation had reverted straight back to absolute autocracy. But Napoleon did not erase the revolution. He synthesized it. He recognized which specific reforms the public valued most and hardwired them into his new regime. This title page shows the imperial eagle printed alongside a standardized set of civil laws. By enforcing this single official edition, the code overrode regional aristocratic laws. It eradicated feudal privileges, stripped the church of political power, and cemented a merit-based system. It established a strict social contract. The French people surrendered their political freedom, and in return, the emperor guaranteed their equality before the law. This map tracks the expansion of French imperial borders. As Napoleon's armies marched across Europe, they functioned as an inadvertent delivery mechanism, exporting these new concepts of legal equality and citizenship into conquered territories. This legal export shattered the old world order. Even after Napoleon was finally defeated, traditional monarchs found it impossible to fully restore their medieval feudal systems. The French Revolution began by attacking an absolute king, but it ended by exporting its legal reforms through an absolute emperor. While democratic liberty remained elusive at home, the legal groundwork for a modern, post-feudal Europe had been laid.